Moral and ethical dilemmas. They are interesting, especially to watch, but are they fun? In a movie show, a moral dilemma can provide a great deal of conflict for a story and can push a story forward and create an interesting plot and a thought-provoking character choices for the people involved. However, one of the issues with trying to create and navigate through a moral dilemma is that at the end, a character can be faced with a lose-lose situation. Dilemmas like the trolley problem or other choices usually give characters the option of two bad choices, so that whatever they choose, it often leaves them with a bad taste and a feeling of being forced into losing, no matter what they do. Now, while this may be interesting to watch, like on a show or a movie, it's very difficult to play. In a game, then, being a situation where you feel as though you have no choice, because every choice is a bad one, this means that at the end of the story, the players don't feel particularly good about the game. Especially when they want to be the heroes and do heroic things. Heroes kill bad people. They don't kill good people, even unintentionally. But having said that, moral choices and moral dilemmas are not always the same things. Moral dilemmas often mean two equally bad choices, such as the trolley problem, the lifeboat dilemma, the prisoner's dilemma, or the baby Hitler issue. For some reason, 3 out of 4 of these moral dilemmas are about killing people. I don't know what that says about our society. Anyway, now there are also moral choices that a character or a player can make that can be difficult to carry out, but not necessarily difficult to determine. A lot of these choices are hard, only in the sense that they require strength and determination, rather than a sense of compromising your own ethics. A good moral choice should allow characters to come up with alternative ways of accomplishing a goal, rather than forcing them into one of 2 bad decisions. In this situation, even if their actions fail and they don't manage to succeed in getting the objective, it's not because they were forced to compromise, but simply because of bad rolls, or the dice, or other reasons, rather than because they had to choose a specifically evil alternative. So what do good moral choices in a story look like? Some examples of good choices tend to be like these. Doing what is right versus doing what is easy. There are some situations where violence is the answer, and some things that need to be taken by force, but often it's not the best answer, because too many of the people that you want to save tend to end up dying. However, if there is a clear choice regarding whether you should stand up against tyranny or submit to it, especially when the tyranny specifically goes against godly values, then it may not be a choice of whether you should, but how you should. This opens up story possibilities because you should never have combat or even conflict just for its own sake. Combat should always move the story forward. The more there is at stake, such as protecting innocents or having a countdown towards something, an objective as well, then the more engaging the combat will be. We shouldn't just be fighting monsters because we can't think of anything else to do. Combat should be a way to give information or to provoke character growth through decision making. Does the end justify the means? Have you heard the phrase, you can't make an omelette without breaking a few eggs? The end justifying the means is a great moral choice because it speaks to our willingness to compromise. Not just to do something bad in order to bring about good, but also how close are we willing to go to compromise? How willing are we to justify our behavior for the greater good? For example, would you quarantine people to stop the outbreak of a disease if you knew the disease was real? Something just off the top of my head. Being tempted by something good. It's easy to recognize temptation if it's something bad, but what about if it's something good? What if you're given 2 good alternatives, but you know that one is easier, but one is better? Obvious example of this is Eve in the Garden of Eden. Eve was tempted by the fruit, and the fruit was actually something good. The Bible says it was. But it wasn't the right choice. The issue wasn't the fruit itself. It was whether they trusted what God told them. And that was the difference. Security versus freedom. This is a common issue in today's society, especially in terms of what these two terms mean to people. What does security mean? What does freedom mean? How much freedom are you willing to give up for security? What about the people around you? For example, would you give up your freedom for protection? How much would you give up? Would you demand others give up their freedom for their own security? Or would you demand they give them up for your security? Justice versus forgiveness. How much should you forgive someone? Is there a line? And if so, where is it? Forgiveness is good, but so is justice. Can you work out of both at the same time? And if not, when do you move from one to the other? For example, is it better to punish the innocent, or is it better to let the guilty go free? Short-term versus long-term consequences. By their nature, most stories really only deal with short-term issues. But what happens if they lead to unintended consequences? How do you navigate and make the change towards a better result in a situation, especially if the situation is good? How do you lead people to the right choice? For example, if you had a prophecy that everything needed to change or bad things would happen, how do you get everyone on side with that? How do you inspire people to change and follow you? In most of these ethical and moral situations, the villain also needs to have a compelling reason for why they're doing what they do. No one realistically does evil just because they are evil. They do it because they think they are doing the right thing, and they usually have good reason for it. There are no races of monsters in my game because monsters aren't determined by race. The best monsters are the ones who don't look like monsters, but are revealed as being monstrous through their actions. In all of these, the conflict is over trying to do the right thing. That is, it's not about trying to figure out the right thing necessarily. They already know what it is. It's about how can they accomplish it. And finally, there should only be one or maybe two moral conflicts in one adventure. This should be the central conflict and provide the characters with their own impetus for how to solve it. Don't ever just give people a lose-lose option. Allow them to be creative. It should be about creative problem solving. Life is like that. As always, thank you for watching.